We are now.
Hello, everybody. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Bolts and Hose Podcast.
Wait, what were you saying? What were you saying a minute ago?
I was talking about the mic and its shape and where it goes.
Okay.
Do you really want to talk about
We're
that?
episode 93 of Bolts and Hose. We better change the subject.
I thought last week was 93.
You know, I think we messed up.
We did.
Or it wasn't last week. It was
2 weeks ago. It was 2 weeks ago. We missed last week. We had a customer event we went to.
Are you sure it wasn't ago?
It was 2 weeks. It was 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
So last week we did not shoot the podcast because we had a customer event.
Yeah, and then we went to Carmel for the
No, we had
race the year before that, or the
No, we
week
had
before
that. We had a podcast and we talked about the marathon.
Okay, all
What
right,
planet
you're right.
do you live on? Like, how do you survive in my...
Lay off, Bryce.
Okay, I'll
All
lay
right.
off. Only if you lay off.
Cheers.
Mine. Here,
Happy
it's about
Friday.
time. Chris is back to drinking bourbon.
You know, I'm gonna pretend. Ooh, good.
I'm drinking out of a coffee cup. Ooh, yeah. Nothing like bourbon on a Friday afternoon.
Not just any coffee cup. That's a Bolts and Hose.
a Bolts and Hose.
coffee cup.
Yeah, that's right. Cheers.
Yep.
Cheers, brother. Yeah, got a little McKenna, 10-year, single barrel, bottled and bond.
It's good. We're
Kentucky's
about halfway
finest.
through that bottle.
Yeah, it's a good one. I like it. I can't get mad at it.
Been a busy, hot week.
Oh, has it ever?
90s.
Has it ever?
We got a car show coming up this weekend.
Dude, you know, I think there's going to be a lot of people. We're going to have a lot of cars.
I think it's going to be a ton of people.
I think we're going to have some cool trucks. We're going to have some cool exotics. We're going to have some cool motorcycles.
You know, an exclusive fun fact, only for the Bolts and Hose viewers, we have live music that we booked as of today. Nobody knows that yet.
Dude, one of my favorites.
You heard it first here on Bolts and Hose episode 93.
Live music.
JB Barnett.
Not you, JB. The
Another
other
JB. Mr.
No way.
JB Barnett is going to be here doing
All
live
JBs
music.
are important in our eyes.
And he's phenomenal. He's a treat. So
No, he's
even if
good.
you don't like old cars, come out here and listen to JB Barnett because he's amazing.
He's one of my favorites, man.
Yeah,
he does
he's great.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how he's not professional.
He's
This
jams,
one, right?
Yeah. You know, he does a lot of covers, but he makes them his own, and that's what I love about him.
Really good.
Very
Yeah.
interactive.
Yeah, I mean, he just sounds like somebody that should be on the radio.
You should do a better job at like tagging people that we talk about. And that way we get more
We
traffic
will.
on the podcast.
Why are you calling me out in
'Cause
front
you
of
know-
everybody?
Because normally you just like throw it up and don't even do anything. Put like a penis going in my mouth or something.
Well, we want to keep it as real as we can.
Oh, good night. Good night. Yeah, so I think the car show's gonna be cool.
It's gonna be great.
Live music.
We got trophies.
Sunday, 10 a.m. We're gonna begin. Right?
I think John King is going to bring his crazy cab over engine
His
truck.
welder truck.
Yeah, and there's going to be lowriders and exotic cars, motorcycles.
Yeah.
I got a buddy that's bringing a Triumph. It's a British bike, and I don't know what size engine on it. It's like an 8-cylinder engine or something, or 6-cylinder engine. It's a huge engine, huge displacement on this motorcycle. So yeah, and then Nick will bring one of his bikes, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Nick.
Uh-huh.
And his-
Yeah, he's going to come.
He'll probably have some cool bike. Yeah.
Yeah.
Harley man.
And I got another friend that's got a vet. He's bringing it up here. So, and then Christian and all the guys in the shop, they got some cool rides.
They got some hoopties.
So it'll be fun.
John Luderman's gonna bring his minivan.
Yeah.
You know, he's got sliding doors on both sides, so that'll be kind of cool.
You know, I think he's in contention to win. I
Yeah,
think.
he's got crushed Cheetos in between his chairs.
best interior, or maybe best of show.
Yeah, I think
Could
so.
be best of show.
I think it's a shoe in.
We'll see.
A shoe in. We're gonna have tacos.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna be whipping up tacos.
Yeah, Roberto's going to have selling tacos and drinks. I think they're going to have a michelada station.
I did hear something of
A
that.
michelada. Michelada?
Micheladas, they're gross, dude.
Really? Are you a michelada fan?
I hate
Really?
micheladas. I don't understand. You drink beer with tomato juice. It makes no sense. It makes
I'm
no
not a
sense.
fan either, but I'll try these on Sunday and see if he can change my mind.
Mija, do you drink micheladas? Really? Ugh.
He didn't sound very sincere when he said that.
Dude, he's balls deep in orders.
All the time. You drink Bloody Marys, it's the same thing.
No, it's not. Bloody Mary with vodka, it like bites. And then you have beer, and it's like sweet and
It's not
weird.
the same tomato juice, though.
It is a weird thing.
It's just strange, man. It's like,
We'll try it on Sunday. We're going to give it another
We'll
shot.
prove y'all wrong.
Bryce and I both will give it another shot.
prove y'all wrong.
Okay, good.
I'm not giving it another shot. I
Yes,
know I
you
don't
will.
like it.
You are a good sport, and you will try it. Damn it.
I mean,
No,
the problem is you cannot mix it with seltzer, though. Yeah, mix it with
Well,
beer.
before we
That's a
start
good
on the
point.
seltzers, we'll try one of these.
It's a very good point.
We'll keep.
I don't know. Maybe I
the
will like
palate
it.
clean.
I'll mix it up with a little seltzer. Maybe it'll be the best thing ever. You never know.
So the other thing I was going to mention, we got a trade show coming up
Oh yeah, we're going to Nashville,
in Nashville.
Tennessee.
Fastener Fair in Nashville. That's like the May, or I'm sorry.
In May. It's in May. 28th and 29th, I think.
20, okay.
28th.
27th, 28th.
I think we get there on the 27th. The show, or no, I think you're right. Maybe it is the 27th, 28th. It's Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah. So it'll be a whirlwind. Bryce and I'll go up there. Danny Moore going to be up there.
Yeah.
It'll be a cool show.
Yeah, a good turnout, man. We've actually gotten a lot of emails here recently about people want to meet up and chit chat. So
That's always a great show.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. And Nashville's always a good, good town to have it in. It pulls a lot of people.
Yeah, it's
It
fun. I
attracts.
like visiting Nashville.
Nashville's one of my favorites.
There are some towns that I dread going to.
Name one that you
Nashville's
dread
nice.
going to.
Miami.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. And you're going to be shocked, but Vegas. I don't like going to Vegas.
What?
Yeah, I'm not a Vegas fan.
New York, I'm out every time. I hate New York.
Oh, I'm with you. I don't like
It's
New
just
York
a
either.
disaster.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
dirty.
with you.
It stinks.
I'm with you.
Chicago's probably my favorite. New Orleans is an all-time favorite.
Chicago, I've got a new appreciation for
Yeah.
after last year. Yeah,
Denver's a fun place if you go at the right time.
I love Denver, yeah. Salt Lake City's cool.
LA's a dump.
Yeah, we're going to Salt Lake City too.
Oh yeah, we're in June.
Yeah.
Do a little golfing out there with a good customer event.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff going on, man.
Busy. It's a
Yeah.
busy time of
Yeah,
year.
busy summer.
It's a busy time of year.
Yeah.
Orders are busy. Traveling's busy.
What do you want to talk about today?
You know, I thought something that's came up a lot this week is galling.
Galling.
What do you know about galling?
Galling? I don't know much about galling. Right?
You're such a dick.
I would like to learn from you.
No, tell me what you
Your
think
views
galling
on
is,
galling.
and then so I've always thought this is what I thought galling was. I thought it was when two similar metals kind of welded themselves together, and just after like looking into
It doesn't
it,
have to be
a little bit
similar metals, though.
more- Okay,
Anything.
but I think it happens more when it's similar metals because they're kind of rubbing against each other, and there's no like friction, or there's more friction, and it causes heat to weld themselves together. I always thought that. That was my opinion of galling,
Sounds sexy.
but it's not right.
So if you look at threads, they look very smooth, right? But if
they're
you were to
not.
look at that on a microscopic level, it's actually a pretty rough surface.
Yeah.
And you'll see some differences in the way it's manufactured. Like roll threads will be smoother than cut threads.
Yep.
So when you get down to the microscopic level and you add things like lots of pressure and lots of force and lots of friction, you get a lot of heat generation as those two surfaces are moving together. Those microscopic surfaces will start to bond together.
So-
and you call it like cold welding, are some of the terms that are used there. So you can even get to the point where the two metals actually weld themselves together.
And they don't. That's one of the things that I found out. They call it micro welding, but it's not they're not welded together. It's
Well,
the
it's not-
electrons.
it's not welding in
It's
the
an
form that
energy.
we-
It's an energy. They're never like together. They create an energy that won't allow them to break apart. It's kind of interesting. I read like there's a video that they talked a lot about it, and it's a misconception that
I'm skeptical of your
you can be skeptical
your Google
as you
research.
You should be skeptical. I
Your
think
dog is eating the
Hey,
flag.
stop it. We don't need to eat flags, okay?
We should introduce us.
Sosa, she's gonna go eat paper.
Okay. Look, she
You
wants to be on the podcast.
Hey, do you want to come say hi? Come here. Come here. She's like, no way. I think she's camera shy.
Camera shy. That's what I was about to say.
She's technical difficulties.
All right,
Actually, Chris just had to use the restroom.
SD card got filled up, so we got cut off.
As
So
did the
I think we're
toilet.
let off. We were talking about Sosa.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sosa just went to the bathroom. Thanks,
Yeah.
Neba. Neba just took out the puppy.
So where we came, you asked the question about what can you do to prevent galling, right? And my answer to that was using thread lubricant.
So, okay, so here's a question.
Yeah.
So, a lot of thread lubricants are oil-based, correct?
Yes.
So, that oil will, over time, dissipate or burn off. Is that fair
Yes,
to say?
correct.
And so, I've always heard people say, like, the more solid content, the less burns off, right? Because the solid doesn't burn
Correct.
off.
Yes.
So, you use a high temp, like, solid, like a nickel or a moly.
So all the lubricants are metal based, whether it be
Right.
copper or nickel or moly or whatever. And those are all generally hard materials, other than copper would be soft. But for the higher temperature materials, you're going to use a harder material. So all of those things are acting as like bearing surfaces, right, between the two surfaces, between the male and female threads. So that once that gets to temperature or it squeezes out under friction, you've got all of those metal particles between the two thread surfaces, and those are going to act as bearing threads to ride on it and prevent those two metal surfaces from joining together and causing that cold welding.
Now, I mean, this might sound stupid, but when you take two surfaces, right, and you're going in the opposite direction, and aren't you going to be like removing the solid from that surface?
Well, generally, you're dealing with lubricant. High quality lubricants are really made, not just putting medical particles in oil and mixing them up, but they'll use things like ball mills and things like that that really grind up the particles to where they're so small. You're not going to, they're going to grind and fill in the very microscopic surface imperfections of the steel. And it almost creates a smoother surface because you're dealing with those very, very tiny, small metal particles. Now, you'll have low quality lubricants that may be moly or nickel or copper or whatever, but they'll have larger particle size. And you're right, those will wipe away and they won't act as good a quality and as the ones with a finer surface finish.
So thread lubricant and then harder material, right? That's the other thing, like use a harder.
Yeah, especially when you're using high temperature material, because the most common thread lubricant out there is probably a copper NICs. I think Velpro C5A I think is one that's out there, and it's used very often. But those are for water surfaces and not high temperature, and they're probably going to be fine. A lot of people claim that those will actually cause galling, and you put those in there, and especially when you've got them on harder materials and you're using very high amounts of load and heat, you'll actually promote galling. So especially if you're using high temperature application, you really have either a nickel or a moly or graphite base that will withstand high temperature.
And then stainless is very susceptible to galling, right? Just because it's a weaker material.
Not necessarily that. I think the things about, you'll see stainless steel and titanium and aluminum are the ones that are called out to have the most galling associated with it. And it's generally because they have these oxide layers that form on the outside.
Right.
You heard about that?
Yeah. And they dig past the oxide layer, and then that kind of...
Yeah. Or under high loads, those oxide layers tend to compress, and under friction, those will wipe away, and you'll actually come up with a rougher galling.
Yeah.
So people, stainless and aluminum and titanium in particular are known for galling, especially when you generate high loads with it.
I always heard nitronic 60 was always a big alloy for anti-galling.
Oh, really?
And I guess because it has silicone and manganese in it.
Okay.
And
it's a harder material too.
And
right?
it work hardens, so it's not hard as is, but as you work it, and
the surfaces will harden. Yeah.
It'll harden itself.
And you get into other things like too, when people tighten the bolt too much and you generate too high of a load, then you can actually deform metal, and that's when you try to back it off, and then you have the other element
like a locking
metal deformation that causes that galling as well.
Deformed thread.
So it's not just chemical in nature, but it can be mechanical as well.
It's a fun topic.
It does come up a lot. We do hear about it.
It's a big problem.
Yeah, and people will use coatings as well.
Coatings is another one.
Yeah, so PTFE and things like that. I mean, there's PTFE, you look at it as for a corrosion resistance or a way to lower the friction factor, but people will also call them.
I mean, you hear it all the time. I mean, this is always my biggest question is someone will coat, PTFE coat like a B8, like a stainless.
Yeah.
Like, why are you doing that? 'Cause it's already corrosion resistant and it's anti-galling.
Because they know the stainless steel is going to gall, so if they put that on there, they've had better experience with it on there.
Yep.
And it doesn't hurt, right? I mean,
Yeah.
worst case, the coating's going to overheat and carbonize or whatever, but
Right.
it's still on there to prevent those two start together and causing that galling.
Yep. Good talk, man.
Good job, Bryce.
Well done.
Excellent. Yeah. I like your technical description.
That's one thing I've never.
I don't know if we
was
caught that on the
technical.
camera before it went off or not.
What's that?
Your technical discussion why galling occurs.
It's probably better that
I
way.
do like. I hope it made it.
It's just interesting.
It'll make the
I mean,
cut.
I don't know. I'm not technical. In
No,
nature
I don't think
by
there's a
any
whole lot of
means.
extra. I think you get a lot of different opinions out there for what causes it. I think people know the indicators that contribute,
Right.
but I think there's a lot of factors, right? Even if you got trash or dirt or some object in between the threads, that's going to make perfect.
And I never realized too how imperfect threads are, like from a microscopic level. I mean, there are. I mean, it's like there's all these crazy highs and lows.
Yeah, you're starting out with bar, and even if you were to roll thread them or cut thread them, if you look at it on a microscopic surface, you're deforming metal in order to form those threads.
Right.
It's not going to be perfect,
Yep.
especially when you get it to that level. You can look at it with your eye and it'll look shiny. and
Right.
nice. If you were to look at it under a microscope, it's actually pretty rough.
It's gonna be like the Rocky Mountain. Mm-hmm. You wanna do some parts of the week?
Let's do it, man.
Parts of the week. Everybody, you wanna go big, small, medium?
Let's do that one. You got
This
it in your hand.
This is a kind of cool part. And the reason I say it's cool is because of the material and the ratio between the diameter and the length. I know we've talked about that in the past. What material do you think it is?
660.
660.
Is that right?
Nope. It is a stainless steel.
304.
Higher.
316.
Higher. It's the drinking age. 321.
Oh, okay.
What were you gonna
I was
say?
thinking B16 for a second. 16?
What did you start drinking when you were 16?
That's Louisiana maybe, but not Texas.
No, so this is a 1/2 inch by 7, 321 hex bolt. I mean, you don't see that ever. You know, we'll run some cap screws in 321, but for it to be that long and that small of a diameter, it's pretty special.
Yeah.
They're tough to make. I mean, or tougher to make. I don't want
Yeah.
to say they're tough to
I mean, the
make.
ideal way to make that would be forming the head, but you know, in a pinch, you need it quick. You know, you can machine it out of round bar.
Danny, do you know a 1/2 inch by 7, 321? How many? You don't have to look it up. Yeah, there's a handful out there. So this was a setup piece, so you know there's still a lot of tool marks on this, but
Okay, that's fine. I just want to make sure.
Well, they don't know that. They can't see it.
Aiden's running it right now. I don't know, someone might get kind of crazy with it and zoom in on the YouTube.
I'll just get it from your eBay.
On the YouTube.
You never know, on the Google. What's next?
Let's do this bad boy right here. This one's cool.
This
I like
is pretty neat. I didn't check the thread size on that.
So
but,
it looks like a standard hex bolt, but if you were to look down, let me
so, you know, I saw this part.
look right underneath the head. You can see that it necks down into a wasted area there. They call it a wasted area, and they're
A reduced shank, a wasted area,
Yeah,
one
there
of the
you
two.
so they're designing that diameter so that it is the weakest point in there, so that it'll break at a certain load. So it's a safety mechanism in a lot of cases.
Did you ever watch that show, The Weakest Link? You are the weakest link.
I don't think so. I don't think I did. Not
so-
a big TV guy.
This part was cool. I saw this at Freddie's machine, and he hadn't milled it yet. And then we had half of them at Freddie's machine on a lathe, and so he was turning everything. And then half of them were at the mill, and they were doing the heads. So 4340. Do you know what size that is, Danny? The 4340 reduced shank hex bolt?
7/8 by.
Probably.
That was 5.
That's about right. Sounds about right.
7/8.
So we're going to heat treat it to be 23 or
You know,
something?
I don't think we're
Yeah.
heat treating this, are we?
Yeah. Oh, no.
Yeah, I don't think we're heat treating it.
Yeah, not this.
Because it just called out 4340.
It's 100 pieces.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
We got a
yeah.
second one.
Yeah,
Beautiful part.
it is.
Love it.
I mean, it just caught my eye walking by.
It's not your standard run-of-the-mill everyday hex bolt.
Sure isn't.
Yeah.
Sure isn't.
Here we go. 12 point.
This is a cool part. So what did we get a call this week, Danny, on the 3/8
Here we
12
go.
point, external 12 point nuts? How many pieces are we running? A couple hundred?
3/8
Oh yeah,
16.
300 total. We're running 100 pieces in a week or 2 weeks. And then we're running the balance in a couple extra weeks.
So this is the 660 material, right?
6,
3/8 16 12 point flange nut.
12 point flange
Right.
nut. That's exactly right. Or it's a double hex nut.
You can call it that.
Can you call that a fairy nut?
I don't think so. I think you call it a 12 point.
Why can't you call it a fairy nut? If you call it a fairy head, why can't you call that a fairy nut?
I mean, I've never heard that term.
I've never heard fairy head. It's fairy bolt.
Yeah, fairy bolt. Why do they call it a fairy bolt?
It's a good question.
I mean, where did the fairy come? Nobody knows? Can someone get on the Google and...
I mean, you get called a fairy all.
It's kind of curious. I mean, why would you call it a fairy? I mean,
I don't know.
It's just a
But
weird...
that is a good.
And so if you
topic
can
for
call
us
it a
to-
fairy
I don't know
bolt,
that
why
we can
can't you
discuss
call
it
this
in
a
front of
fairy
everybody
nut?
here.
I don't know. Maybe we can. Maybe someone can chime in. We should do this live and like have people call in.
Maybe somebody will comment. That's a good thing. Let's say if you know why they call it a fairy bolt. Of course, everybody's going to get on Google and comment.
The
Act
origin-
act like they knew it beforehand.
of fairy bolt.
Yeah.
And then why can't you call this a fairy nut if you can call it a fairy bolt? So
Somebody's googling it right now. They're
as they should.
yeah.
As they
The
should.
3/8 16, really small, 12 point, special material.
Quick turn too.
Really cool part.
Hot turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What you got here?
You know,
The last one. Big boy.
This was a fun one. So I went to a customer, I think it was last week probably, beginning of last week. I went to a customer and they had this big project. We quoted a bunch of jobs for it, and one of them had like a custom OD on the major of the thread. And so, thanks for helping.
There you
You're
go.
such a gentleman.
Well, I was going to take you all day. I don't know.
Tell
If
you what.
I don't know if my SD card can withstand this.
This is a lot of threading in there, isn't it, big boy? So they gave me this plug and they said, hey, this is what we need. We're gonna have multiple pieces of equipment coming in and we need you to mark this plug.
So it's not a standard size.
It's not a standard size.
It's got a special pitch diameter, special major.
A special major, a special PD, and a special minor. So what we did, we took all the measurements and then we stamped it on the head and we stamped it on the back of the plug. So they can check all of the nuts that we're making for them.
And then you make a special nut and you write what the measurements are on that one as well, right?
And so these aren't standard nuts, right, Danny? I think we're making special nuts on this too. This is for the plug.
Oh, yeah, we were making the bolt.
What'd you call this, a Gania? Or a Galena?
Let's keep it family friendly, guys, family friendly.
Hey, nobody speaks Spanish who watches this thing.
You know,
I see a couple of bald white guys.
You know, 50% of the viewership, which is both of them.
Yeah, that is true. Uh-oh, I think Sosa needs to urinate.
Uh-oh, nope.
She's pooping?
No,
Is she
I don't
pooping?
think so. No, it's just sitting down. It's just relaxing.
I don't know. That sure looks like
She's
a
just
poop
relaxing.
squat.
Oh, she's good.
She's just a puppy, man. She's 6
Good.
months. She's kind of trained, but kind of not trained.
6 months. The dog should be whipped into shape by now, Bryce. 6 months?
You know, it's my wife's dog, so if it were up to me, that dog would be living in a dumpster right now. The first year of their lives, they need to live in
That's
a
a
dumpster.
terrible thing to say.
Yeah, because then when they come out, they appreciate you more.
Terrible.
You know? Nothing but whoopings, and I would never do that adorable little puppy.
So we've gone through the parts. We've talked about galling.
We talked about the car show.
Car show. We want to remind everybody, come out to this. It's going to be a great time. Live music, food,
Sunday fun day.
Jamie's micheladas.
Chavez, are you coming? Damn, Chavez is coming. Jamie, are you coming? There's no way Jamie's coming. Jamie doesn't like to hang out outside of work ever. JB's gonna be hammered from the day before. JB's playing mud volleyball tomorrow. He told me.
Really?
Yeah, mud volleyball
Naked?
at the Strawberry Festival. I bet he's gonna wear some really short shorts though.
I like it.
Rachel, are you coming? Rachel will be here. Neva.
Yeah.
Neva's gonna be at church.
Well, there's still time after church. It's no problem.
Oh, you know what we didn't talk about? We got a new guy.
Oh, yeah. Look at that.
Isaiah, the newbie. You know,
He's coming to say hi.
I'm blown away. He has lasted 2 weeks. You know, he was like a deer in headlights. Come on up, say hello. He was like a deer in headlights the first day, and he heard, you know, the sales bullpen. Come on, the sales bullpen. Say hello.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Look, so I found the ferry thing.
Okay, let's talk about the ferry.
So the ferry boats. It says that the name ferry boat comes from, they were normally used in marines, like ships and stuff
Yeah,
like
like
that.
ferries.
Yeah, so that's where the name comes from.
So it really just comes from a ferry
Yeah,
boat.
from a ferry boat.
Really?
Yeah, so that's what
That's
they
so
use.
disappointed. I thought there was going to be
it's
a
not like
better
that.
story.
Yeah, no, that's it. So I don't think you can call it basically a ferry nut, because they don't really use them for.
So it's called a ferry bolt because it was used on a ferry boat.
Yeah. So like ferries and marines.
Like a Bolivar
Like-
ferry.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. But so they didn't use 12-point nuts on the ferry, so
No.
you can't call that a ferry nut because it wasn't used on a ferry boat.
I mean, we can call it whatever we want. Who's going to...
I still like the double hex. That's my favorite. Have you ever heard of a 12-point being called a double hex?
No.
Never?
Well, you don't call
Like
a
when
single
people-
nut a single hex.
Well, when
So-
people would call like, sorry, so I come from Star. So I came from Star.
The stars above. We all came from the stars
Star
above.
Stainless. I came from Star Stainless. Whenever we would get calls, they would always say ferry, you know, like ferry bolts or ferry cap screws. So we would normally just go by that. I would never hear double or nothing.
Double hex. So if you think about it, what's
Thank
a
you,
hex?
Isaiah. Thank you.
It's 6 points. So
But-
double hex would be
No.
6 times 2 is what?
No, but that's what people call it.
That I've heard it multiple times. I do have customers
I-
that will call and
I-
say,
I mean-
so just in case if someone calls you and say, hey, I want a double hex.
No, no,
that's
you
what
say
they want.
that.
They
Yeah,
want a
yeah.
12 point.
I mean, it's literally 6 of one, half of that. Literally.
Literally. Or a
So
baker's
you can do
dozen.
either one.
What if someone called you and said, I want a baker's dozen hex bolt?
I wouldn't know what to do with that.
We could figure that out. We can make 30.
Give me a drawing.
What if someone called and said, I want a triple quad hex?
We can do it.
That
Send me
makes
a drawing.
sense. Or a quad. Oh, what about the triple square? Because a square has 4 points. So a triple square would be a 12.
And then you can name it whatever you.
I actually like that one.
Call it whatever you want.
Got it. Yeah. All right. On that note.
Okay, peace.
Thanks, Isaiah. Good to have you aboard, man. Are you coming Sunday? He's got church too. So him and Nabel will be at church. Right, Nabel? Nabel's not over there. So, episode 93,
Yes,
my
sir.
friend,
Yep.
is in the books.
All good. I'd say it was a bang-up job, Bryce.
It seemed like a long episode today, didn't it?
No, I think because we had a little technical snafu.
Yeah.
We'll edit it up, chop it up.
Choppy chop. Hey, come
Scratch
here.
under the door.
Here, Sosa wants to say bye. Sosa got, oh, you know what? I'm gonna be the Bob Barker here. Sosa got spayed yesterday, so spayed and neuter your dogs. So that's why she's at the office today, because I don't want her licking.
Okay, that's
her
enough.
wounds.
That's enough.
But she's got a cut in her belly. I didn't say I said, oh, whoa. See, good girl.
Okay,
Good
on
girl.
that note,
On that note, everybody, welcome.
we'll see everybody Sunday.
Like, comment, share. See you Sunday.
Be good.